Mariah, I have a quick question for you before you get in. I have a live stream show that's going on right now in my car. I do a show as I go. If you want to be on, you can get in. If you don't want to be on, I can turn it off, but it's up to you.
It's a what?
It's a live stream show. Take a look right here on my computer. We're actually streaming onto the internet right now, and people are watching.
Oh.
So, should be fun. Could become famous.
What are we going to talk about?
Whatever you like. We can go from subject to subject, what you're doing in school.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, let me go ahead and get the ride started. There we go. Looks like we're heading over to Crofton.
Yeah.
Excellent. Have I driven you before?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think I have.
Sometimes I get this, like,
You look familiar.
same. Not so much on the other side.
There you go.
My bag over here. Probably have.
Yeah, so I started up the live stream. I've been working on it for the last couple of months, getting the thing up and out, and we've got probably, if you go on to you look at the card, I've got a couple different websites where we do the live stream on Twitch, and then if you want to see the ride again and see how you look and what we talked about, you can go right on to YouTube in a day or so when we get it moved over, and you can watch it over and over.
Oh. So why do you do this? Like, what?
Because nobody else is doing it. Because the first time that I started driving for Uber, I said, this needs to be a TV show, and I waited for.
Why?
It's just so much fun. There's so many different people that get in, and all kinds of interesting conversations. And then on, Friday and Saturday nights, sometimes people are coming out of the bars and they're laughing and carrying on and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But for the most part, it's just, it's very interesting. There've been a number of different shows that have been on, like Cash Cab and Taxi.
You've been on there?
I'm sorry?
You've been on there?
No, I'm saying there's been a number of shows on TV that people like to watch that have to do with being in cars.
Oh, what is this? A guest book?
That it? You can if you'd like. I have a pen if you need one.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
You got attacked by a pack of dogs, this person says. Interesting.
Yeah, that's the newest guest book. I started that when I started the live stream. So there aren't too many people. There aren't too many entries in it. I have another guest book here that we started with. Was the very first one, and this one got filled up. It's got all kinds of crazy
That's
stuff
actually
in there.
kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, so maybe
This could be like a little movie.
exactly.
Make a movie about an Uber driver as a guest book. That'd be cool. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I think we've probably got, I don't know, 15, 20 hours worth of video so far.
Wow.
And well, it looks like Crofton is really busy right now too.
Yeah,
for
it's
Lyft.
like Gambrills and all that. It's really busy because of Wall Chapel. You got the movies, everything over there.
I have to tell you, we go to the movies over there all the time, and it's amazing to me how busy that area has gotten with Lyft and Uber, as to how many people are making requests now. It's really it's as busy sometimes as Annapolis. Not quite as busy as Baltimore yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah, people drawing here.
Oh yeah, look at the front of the guest book. There's
It's my birthday. Thanks for the ride.
There's a guy in there that I picked up right there at AACC, and he drew the picture that's on the front of the new guest book, which is pretty cool. So,
pretty cool.
what are you studying? What are you planning on doing with what you're doing?
Nursing.
Nursing.
Yeah, I want to be a mother and baby nurse.
So my understanding is that AACC has one of the best nursing programs anywhere around.
Yeah.
Like really, really good. Was it hard to? Are there a lot of people in the classes? Is it hard to get in?
I haven't gotten in yet, but I'm claiming it. I'm speaking into existence that I'm a nursing student already.
There you go.
Hopefully I'm not. But yeah, it's just a lot of prerequisites
stars, but they don't have the ability to get 10 stars. Wish they
I
did.
give everybody 5 stars, unless they. There's not that many reasons why I would give a person like something lesser than, unless it was like, I don't know, there has to be something wrong. Like the person driving like me in danger, and I'm like, okay, no.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing for us, really. I mean, the only reason to give somebody a bad rating would be if they were like to throw up in the car or something like that. I've had a couple of those.
Oh yeah, do you guys have to rate the people too?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
every single one.
And your
Yep.
pen.
And actually, we can't with Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't do anything as far as the rating, it just gives an automatic 5 stars. But
Okay.
with Uber, I can't end the ride and get the next ride until I rate the customer.
Oh, I see.
But with Lyft, it's an automatic 5 stars. With Uber, you literally have to make sure you rate the person each and every ride.
Okay. So if a person does like trash your car or something like that, then you have to rate them. I
Yeah.
guess. So what happens if it's not good?
What do you mean, if what's not good?
Like,
So when
something happens in the car.
well, they just get they get a bad rating. I got to clean the car. I had a lady in here the other day that, and I don't mind. I've got the signs up there about eating and drinking in here. I don't have a problem with somebody eating something as long as they clean up. And I had a woman that got in here with her daughter a few weeks ago, and they were eating rice cakes, and they were just
Oh yeah, those are
and it was
messy.
everywhere. When they left, it was all over the seat, all over the floor. So the interesting thing about both Uber and Lyft is that if you rate someone a 3 or less,
Yeah.
you'll never get them again. That goes for you too.
Oh.
So if you don't like your driver, you rate him 3 or less, you'll never get that guy again.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I only used that like one time though. It had to be like I don't like people. It's your car, but I don't personally. A lot of people don't enjoy the smell of certain substances like weed and cigarettes. That's not
Yep.
my favorite thing. So like, I'm not gonna. Especially if it takes like 20 minutes and the windows are down, like nothing is down.
Yep. Smells are a big thing.
People.
Smells are a really big thing.
They are. And people, I don't know, people who do smoke in their car or whatever and drive Lyft or Uber or whatever, sometimes I've heard people they get fired, first of all, from Uber, so they go to Lyft or vice versa. And, because people either don't feel safe or whatever the case may be, like me, and I'm like asthma, like I don't want to be in there with that.
Right.
I don't want to be in there.
Well, sometimes, and the worst part is that a lot of times you can be driving and you get a group of people, and as you're pulling up, you see everybody smoking cigarettes, and then they all throw them out right when you pull up, and they get in, and there's this waft of smoke, and it kind of permeates. So
Yeah, it does kind of stay.
so the important thing to remember is, and I probably ought to get an advertisement: carry a can of Febreze in your car.
Yeah.
And that way, you don't ever have to worry about that smell more than a minute or two.
That is true.
So,
Gotta stay prepared. I've seen people who have lots of plastic bags and all that stuff in their Uber, or I don't know, people who have medicine and water and all that stuff. Like,
Police reported ahead.
do you usually get people from clubs and all that stuff?
yeah, I mean, if you're working in the evening, you almost can't avoid it. But for the most part, about half of the people have had
Like,
they're impaired, and about, I would say 50, 10 or, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're impaired at least to some degree, and probably 10% of those to 20% are probably impaired severely.
well,
where
yeah,
they're,
wasted, yeah.
yeah.
But I would rather them be in your car than be in the car by themselves.
Oh, of course.
Which is fine. I think it's pretty great, even though you guys, have to like put up with those people for however much long.
It's not really a question of putting up with them. People are who they are. But most of the time, even somebody that's really drunk, if you're just patient and cordial with them, they're
Kind of nice.
they're gonna be okay. They're making the right decision in getting in your car rather than another car, so they're already that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And all you really are trying to do is make sure you get them home safe. which is why they do it.
Like, I haven't seen a car like this before. Actually, I've been in your car before.
No?
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
So this is a Honda Pilot,
Okay.
and I love it.
Yeah, it's got kind of roomy.
Yeah. Well, I do pull the seats up kind of far up in the front to give you
Yeah.
extra leg room and make you feel, real comfortable back there. So that's the way that it should be.
And then don't you have like a lift pool when you get toward like Baltimore, like where you can pick up different people?
Yeah, multiple riders.
Yeah, ride share, stuff like that.
Yeah, that can be a little confusing for the drivers because, when it comes on, you have to react to it immediately, and you may be making a right turn, whereas before it had you going straight,
Yeah.
and now you got to go pick somebody else up, and just trying to remember who you're dropping off first and making sure the right person gets out. And
Okay.
yeah, it's very convenient for the people because I think that it makes the ride a little bit cheaper for them. And,
Yeah, I think the app updated not that long ago, at least for me, and asks you if you want to share a ride or not.
yeah.
I mean, I think I'm not really sure if I've actually done that before, though. I've split it with my friends before, but I've never, gotten it with, other people.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times people get pool and they don't get another rider while they're on pool,
Yeah.
and so they come to expect that if nobody else is along the way, and then when other people get in the car, they get a little irritated that they have to
Yeah.
move that somebody else is getting in the car with them that they don't know, and it makes for a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like a quiet kind of person, you just want to get to where you're going, then whatever kind of mood you're in, you're going to be like talking, then I would do it.
Well, I found that because I like to talk and I try and carry on conversations where I've had 3 different people in the vehicle at the same time that were all going to different locations when I was down in Washington, and they were all trying to be quiet, and I was just bringing everybody into the conversation, and
They'll have their headphones in and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I thought it was a lot of fun, but I'm not sure how they liked it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I know who has Lyft or Uber on their phone. Everyone. And they're like, it depends. If I don't want the people, it depends what kind of mood people are in. That's how they rate people. They're like, the driver was quiet the whole time. They just drove and it was a nice drive. 5 stars. Like, they've got my 5 stars. For some people, they want to be talked to and stuff like that. So they don't give somebody 5 stars for something doesn't talk or whatever.
Well, a lot of times, I had one guy that said that he would be happy to be part of the stream,
Yeah.
but he had some work to do, so he wasn't going to really talk. And I just drove and didn't say anything. He didn't say anything, and it was,
Yeah.
it's now on YouTube forever. You can go back and take a look at it. But so I actually do the stream on Twitch, which is where a lot of people do their gaming. As a matter of fact, I know that my kids are watching right now, and they're actually gaming. They're probably playing one of the games online, and my son better be streaming. I hope he's streaming. So we're getting to be everybody's starting to get used to the fact that we're doing streaming, and hopefully we can get this to the point where we have a whole lot of people that are watching, and we get a large following.
There's a state trooper over there.
Yeah.
Them and their unmarked cars.
Yeah, they got some pretty interesting vehicles out now.
I saw a van the other day pulling somebody over. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Why is the van pulling this person over? If I'm driving and, some unmarked car is pulling me over and trying to get my attention, then I'm definitely like, oh, what's this wrong person trying to be over?
Yeah.
Policeman.
Years ago, I was in Florida. This was actually back in the 80s. I was in Florida, and we were riding our motorcycles down there. We had a car, and we trailered a bike, the guy that was driving the car, and then we had other bikes that were going along. And I remember seeing a cop car that had somebody pulled over, and he was the cop car had lights and everything on top. It was a Lamborghini. They had, I guess they had gotten it from a drug raid or something. They just went all out making that, with lights and stuff on the side of that car. But there was, I thought, well, that's the one cop that could probably keep up with me. If I was trying to get away, I wouldn't.
Yeah, that is true. I just think they're trying to catch more people out here. They're slowing down the speed limits everywhere in areas like this and like by my house. Oh my goodness. It's quite annoying.
Well, they keep on building, and the roads don't get any wider. So
that is true.
More lights and more roads. Eventually, the cars though aren't going to have drivers in it. They'll just be,
self-driving cars. I've heard about this. I've just seen a little video on them. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I would prefer to. I've never been in one, but I don't know if I'd prefer to be in one. I mean.
Well, how about this idea? You know how big drones are right now, right?
Yeah.
You have drones everywhere. Why not have a drone that has propellers that are this big, that are all encased, and have them attached, 4 of them, and then have a hole in the middle of the 4 where you go stand in the hole, and then it lifts up, and there's a harness that comes up around you, and you just fly your drone wherever you're going.
Because that's expensive.
Well, it may be expensive, but it would sure be convenient.
It's expensive, and there's going to have to be a whole new insurance policy for that. Just saying.
Yeah, people now are, when they go to think of an invention, now I can't do that. It'd be too expensive to get the insurance on it.
Definitely. Like in the court of law, if something goes wrong, how are we going to deal with that?
Yeah, but it would be cool.
I don't know how I feel about being in a self-driving car, though. It's just like in the case of an accident, I don't know how fast it's going to react, if it's going to react at all, to where it can move out the way,
Yeah.
Like a person can. At least if, in your accident with a person, they can swerve the car, they're watching, to react. I actually heard this story recently about a person. The Uber, they were in an Uber, right? And they're on the highway, and they got into an accident. And the car lit on fire, right? And the Uber, he got out safely, but the person who was taking the ride, died in the car.
That happened right here in Crofton.
Yeah.
That was like last week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's real recent. And that's crazy.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the Uber's fault. It was the fault, I don't know. And they really didn't describe it in the paper, but it sounded to me like somebody ran a red light.
Yeah.
Or they merged funny and they didn't see the other guy and hit him and flipped him or something.
That is true.
So I don't know. That's a little scary.
Yeah, it is, especially because you're in the car, and it's not necessarily the driver's fault, but it's just sad that the person couldn't get out.
I can't believe the driver didn't get the passenger out or go for him, but
at least
maybe he was hurt, where he couldn't. But
I wonder how the company deals with that though. Because it's not very common. So
well, I know that on every ride, Uber has a $1 million insurance policy on every ride.
Really?
Yeah.
So what does that do?
So that covers the passengers if they get hurt or injured or anything like that.
So that means the company would have to reimburse them or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that whole process plays out with the attorneys and whatnot,
it's
but
not very spoken on.
But I do know that they've got a big insurance policy on every ride, no matter if you're going a mile or 20 miles.
Wow.
So and then the driver has to have their own insurance for whenever you're driving. But when you're on an in-between, so you're in between rides where you're not covered by the Uber insurance, but you're going to pick somebody up, or you've just ended a ride and you're waiting for your next ride, your insurance company doesn't cover you and Uber doesn't cover you, so you have to get a gap insurance that companies have, and I have a great insurance insurance company. It's USAA,
That's
and
a good one.
they have the gap insurance for that, and it was very easy to get it set up, and it's not very expensive at all.
That is a good one.
So, yeah, I think
I
it
never
was.
thought about that. What happens, you know, if somebody gets in an accident, they're in an Uber,
Yep.
all that works in like the court and all that stuff. Like, it's very different.
It's very similar to the laws that that control what happens with taxi cabs.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that they have, you know, insurance that they have to have for whatever they're doing.
That's true. Taxi cabs are not as fun. No offense, taxi cab people.
I'm not offended. I'm not a taxi.
I know,
But
that's what I'm saying. To all taxi cab people out there, you know, no offense.
Clean up your cars.
Yeah, no offense. I just can't. It's more effort to have to call a taxi cab. It's just so much more effort.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, the cab companies, they complained when Uber came. They're
still
the cabbies are still
complaining,
complaining, and the problem is that they've been in business
probably.
forever. And they
nothing's
didn't do
changed.
anything about upgrading, getting better, getting the
Yeah.
cars cleaned up, making sure that they had a great
Making it
service.
cost-effective,
And
like,
now that Uber has come in, they're you know, they're mad
definitely weeping
because
about
Uber
it.
is providing something that's great, and Lyft is providing something that's
And
great.
it's fast, it's easy, it's on my phone. Like, I don't want to have to dial it. I didn't have to call you. I just
Yep.
pressed, you know, 2 buttons, enter in a little something, you're here. You know.
My understanding is that over in Ireland or Scotland or, you know, one of the countries over there in Great Britain,
Mm-hmm.
when they saw that Uber was coming, the cab companies got together, put together their own app, put together all the stuff so that they could immediately, and Uber's had a tough time getting a foothold there because the cabs have done what they should have. Yeah, they should have done what they did what they should have done years before, and now they're able to fend off the wave and keep it going.
Yeah, I've been in way more Ubers and Lyfts than I've ever been in cabs. So that just says something right there. And I'm in a Uber or Lyft at least 2 to 4 times a week, probably.
Yeah, I have too, and I was around a long time when Uber got here, and I've probably been in more Ubers and Lyfts since. And I use both as well.
Yeah.
Do you use both or just one?
No, I just use the Lyft. I think something happens when I like Uber passwords. I don't even mess with it. Too lazy to figure it out. But yeah, I have Lyft. So I see me. I'm real simple. I'm like, I don't have time to be all in my emails and all this stuff. The LTE is not gonna it's weird on my phone. But I have no problem with Lyft. You know.
Yeah, it's funny.
Automatic.
My wife and I went out to Vegas a couple years ago, and we would pull up both of the apps to see which one was closer, and just whoever was closer, they got us. So
that is true. When I'm with my friends or something, when I just came back from I was in Miami last month, and we did Uber and then Lyft quite a lot, and it was great because we could just split it 3 or 4 ways.
and
It'd
it's
be like
cheap.
$2 a person, yeah. It
Yeah.
goes right away, and they were out because it's in the city. They're out like 24 hours basically. There's always someone out, so we don't have a problem if we're going out and don't get back till 2 something in the morning. There's somebody. There's always a Lyft or Uber, there.
Yeah, in Miami, even later than that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh, we were leaving somewhere else to go somewhere else. Like I don't know. They're really useful on vacation. Unless you're going someplace like even in Ocean City, I guess if you can't walk there, if you can't walk to wherever you're going, there's some there.
I've driven Uber when they first opened down in Ocean City. I went down there,
Yeah.
and I can tell you there's a big force of Uber drivers down there.
Really?
Lots of
Well, yeah. I mean.
Yeah, now when you go down, once the summer season starts,
Yeah, like now
there's
it's
tons.
really nice.
But even in the wintertime, there's people that live down there that do Uber on a regular basis. Retired people and whatnot. All right, so it looks like we're turning left right here.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty then. Well, thanks so much for being part of the Uber John's Rodeo. You can actually go to Twitch right now and watch the recording, but Well, I always like to say that because once we get close, I always forget.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm like, I'm not walking from here. Oh, it's like a 10-minute walk. I mean, it's nice outside, but
Well, I'm kind of glad we came in the back way because every time I drive past that Krispy Kreme,
yeah.
my car just wants to pull in without my permission, especially if the hot light's on.
Oh yeah, that's an addicting place. And they're right next to like the fractured prune. They didn't have that for a minute, but it's like I went to Ocean City and came back and boom, there it was.
Yeah.
They started building it.
Yeah, fractured prune is actually, they've got some great donuts.
They're more like cake though.
Well, they're all cake donuts, but
Yeah.
the fact that you get them hot, they're really good. But after they get cold, they kind of start to get hard.
That is true. They eat fresh only.
Right.
I thought we don't get more than we can eat because they're not gonna, not gonna taste as great. It's not like pizza, you can microwave.
Well, actually, you can microwave a donut. We do that with the Krispy Kremes. We, I'll bring home a box and then forget. And then we go, oh, there's the box. And we take and throw that thing on a napkin for 10 seconds. And it's really good. I know my kids right now are probably watching and going, Dad, pick up some Krispy Kremes. Text me, guys, if you need Krispy Kreme.
Right here.
Straight up or right here on the right?
Right here is good.
All right. It was a pleasure. Very nice to meet you. And thanks so much for being on the stream.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a great day. And we're going to stop and then restart.